to help New Yorkers who are struggling to pay the rent?
Well, we just had some data this morning that said over a quarter of people in the state have someone in their household who's been laid off because of all the shutdowns that we've been imposing. Those numbers are undoubtedly higher in New York City. And what that means, as April 1st is rolling around, is all these people who, a lot of them are paycheck to paycheck, and we just told them you don't have a paycheck anymore, now have to figure out how to pay the rent. And so what I've proposed is that we should forgive the rent payments for 90 days, give people a chance to get back on their feet, help the small landlords too by creating some forgiveness on their mortgage payments. Because if we don't do this, these rents are not getting paid by magic. The money doesn't exist. It's not going to happen anyway. And we're going to end up with a rash of evictions and foreclosures in 3 months unless we take some action to put some regulatory structure around this so that people don't feel like they have that financial obligation hanging over their head.
So a reprieve of 90 days is a great idea, but what happens after that? Are you going to have to pay that all back at one time? Like, what happens? Because it kind of pushes it off for 90 days, and then what?
Well, you're asking the exact right question. We already have in place, Governor Cuomo instituted a moratorium on evictions and on mortgage payments. The federal government did it for federally backed mortgages. But all that does, as you pointed out, is postpone that you still are accruing the debt and the obligation in the meantime. But my proposal says let's just forgive the payments. Let's just say if you don't have the money right now, if you've been affected by the shutdowns due to the coronavirus actions we've taken, that money will never come due. We're in an emergency situation. We've effectively pulled the plug on the economy entirely. We can't expect people who aren't earning a living to continue to meet their financial obligations. So it's just going to involve a lot of sacrifice across the board. Let's try and spread it as evenly as possible and make sure that those who are most in need, those who need that paycheck to survive, aren't being asked to pay thousands of dollars a month that they don't have.
What about businesses, like small businesses, like boutiques and restaurants that have been forced to close down right now? What about their landlords?
That would be included in the proposal. What I've suggested would cover residents and small businesses, and then would also try and provide some relief for the small landlords as well.
Let's talk about unemployment. I have friends, I have people on Twitter and Facebook who are telling me that they have been calling repeatedly the state's unemployment line. They cannot get through. I have one friend, Jeffrey, who called over 130 times in one day and could not get through to place a claim. What is going on over there?
Well, there's an unprecedented demand right now. I don't think the system was ever built for this many people being out of work all at once. But that's what happens when the government decides we're shutting down all these businesses at one time. That order was required. Obviously, we're trying to save the health of our communities, which is the paramount concern. But starting April 1st, the economic, humanitarian, and the housing crises are going to start piling onto this, and we have to start dealing with all of it at once. The Department of Labor needs to improve their technology and get better at figuring this out, because there's a lot of people trying to get access. I would say keep trying, and hopefully as the days go on, they get better at administering it.
So I've heard that it will be retroactive, your pay, once you finally get through. But will they be hiring any more people, getting them up to speed with the Department of Labor? Because it's very frustrating for those people who are calling in.
Yeah, Governor Cuomo is doing a great job of managing this crisis. I trust him to make sure his agencies are doing what they need to do. This is obviously an unimaginable situation we're dealing with right now, so I'll give him some leeway to figure it out and support him any way we can to get everybody up and running, including the state agencies that are providing support.
And Senator, how are you paying for all this? Obviously, the city is basically on shutdown.
Which part was that?
How are you paying for any of this? The unemployment,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no money being made and spent in New York City.
That's right. That's exactly right. The state and the city are facing massive budget deficits. The federal government just passed a stimulus package a couple days ago, and that will provide some relief, but it's not nearly enough. What we're hearing from our representatives in Washington, Senator Schumer and others, is that they expect additional bailouts coming from the federal government. Ultimately, that's the answer. To the extent we need public resources involved, the federal government has it. The state and the city no longer do. So we need them to come through for us.
Tell us about some of your fellow lawmakers who have COVID-19. Have you talked to any of them? I think there are 4 legislators right now, right, with the virus?
Yeah, we've been fortunate in the Senate. We haven't had any in the Senate side. The state assembly has had a number of members who I understand many of them are on the mend and doing better. We're happy to hear that. I think Senator Barron and Senator Weinstein are on the mend. So we wish them well and hope for the best. We do have a former state senator from upstate New York who is not in the best of shape. So we wish him and his family well. But this is something that is just beginning, and we're going to see these numbers skyrocket in the coming days. We're all going to know someone who's been affected, and unfortunately, there's going to be thousands of people who don't make it through this, and we're doing our best to minimize that number.
Well, thank you so much for all your help. We're praying for everybody. State Senator Michael Gianaris, we appreciate your time with us on Good Day.
Thanks so much.